Hello, my name is George Washington, and I'm here to tell you about the story at the winter at Valley Forge. You see, it all started at October 1777 at the end of the Battle of Saratoga, where General Horatio Gates was commanding. General Gates leads his men in this battle by using a clever tactic to fight the British soldiers. The American soldiers used disguises to camouflage themselves and then hide behind bushes during a pop-and-hide attack. Many British soldiers lost their lives. Several American soldiers were wounded, but General Gates and his men surrounded the British camp and continuously fired at them. The British finally surrendered. The American soldiers celebrated their victory at Saratoga, and the news of their victory traveled across the country and inspired poems and songs and a dance called Burgoyne's Surrender, after the British general who surrendered his army to Horatio Gates. Unfortunately, the victory of Saratoga soon faded in December 1777, when I brought my Continental Army in Valley Forge to wait out the winter. It took the soldiers a week to get through wind, snow, and sleet before they even arrived at Valley Forge. And when they arrived, their hardships had just begun. My men, now tired and hungry from the long march to Valley Forge, also needed shelter from the winter's cold. They had to build homes, sometimes without clothing on their backs or shoes on their feet. Some had no coats or even blankets. Still, conditions were horrible, as they were forced to live in the damp, crowded quarters. I wrote letter after letter to Congress, begging for supplies like food, clothing, and shoes for my suffering Continental Army. This was a low point for Americans' struggle for independence. Men suffered from frostbite, and many lost their lives to the various diseases that traveled through the camp. 2,000 Americans died that winter at Valley Forge, and morale was low. When spring came, they were ready to fight, but they were a different army now. The soldiers had a renewed loyalty to me. I had suffered with them and cared for them. Also, the soldiers had learned discipline and how to fight from Baron von Steuben. Baron von Steuben was a Prussian who volunteered his services and took on the task of training the American soldiers. As spring approached, the mood in the camp began to improve. The weather slowly warmed, and the supply problems began to fade. Under Steuben's direction, the Continental Army became a better fighting force. Also, my men learned that foreign help was on the way. France had decided to join the war against Great Britain. France had been sending supplies to Americans, and some French had volunteered to fight for American independence. The Continental Army, now better trained, learned how much pain and suffering they could stand. A newfound spirit emerged as they struggled for their American independence at Valley Forge. Thank you for listening about the winter at Valley Forge.